All right, so it's no longer the Nico Iamaliava situation. It is now the Joey Aguilar situation. That is according to the head ball coach, Josh Heupel. That and so much more. It's your Friday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome into your Friday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Appreciate you for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and we got a fun show coming up here today. Segment number 2, Grant Ramey, my colleague over at VolQuest.com, going to stop by and break down a busy week for Tennessee basketball. 2 additions and losing an assistant coach in Rod Clark to Indiana. Who could be taking his spot? That and so much more coming up with Grant Ramey in segment 2. Segment 3, get you set for Tennessee baseball and Auburn, another top 10 showdown. Well, top 15 showdown, I guess, depending on what rankings you look at. But it's a critical point in the season for Tennessee baseball. We spoke on it earlier in the week on Monday and Tuesday shows, but going to kind of get into it a little bit more. I mean, Tennessee's lost 3 of 4 series. You look at the latest field of 64 projections and all that. I mean, there's obviously no reason to panic, but it's a critical point in the season. So we'll get you set for Tennessee baseball this weekend, what needs to happen and all that. But first, the Big Orange Caravan making its way all across the state of Tennessee, making stops in Memphis and Nashville, making stops, I believe, last night in the Tri-Cities. And Danny White, Josh Heupel, Kim Caldwell, Rick Barnes, so on and so forth, speaking, talking, meeting with fans, and that's been a whole lot of fun. And a couple of comments I want to bring to your attention here on Friday's show. And that is where we're going to start right now with a comment made by Josh Heupel to 104.5 The Zone 3HL in Nashville earlier this week. So the question was set up to essentially kind of ask the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, where are you right now? Where's your team? Where's the mindset? Kind of how's everything been going after your starting quarterback? That was your starting quarterback for every game last year that helped your team go to the college football playoff, leaves in one of the bigger, more publicized breakups in all of, college sports, especially this offseason. It was referred to as the Nico Iamaliava situation, which there was nothing wrong with that phrasing whatsoever. But Josh Heupel, I thought, had a great response to it. He says, quote, well, let's start by calling it the Joey Aguilar situation. I thought that was great. Got a lot of laughs, got some praise there from Ron Slay, who's a member of that panel on 3HL over 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. And he said, let's not the Nico Iamaliava situation. Let's start referring to it as the Joey Aguilar situation, because I thought that was kind of interesting, right? It's so many times we see in professional sports, like, it will go down as, one big superstar is on the move and then a player to be named later or a lower level, like minor league player is included in that deal. But the years down the line, 4 or 5 years down the line, we say, oh, that wasn't referred to as the BJ Upton deal anymore. That was referred to as the so-and-so deal or, whatever the case may be. And maybe this can be that situation regarding how Tennessee season goes. It's not like Joey Aguilar is going to be here for long. He's a rental player, essentially. We'll see if he can get into campus sometime in the month of May. We know his class schedule is making that a little bit problematic, but we'll see as the days go on, like when he can get here on campus. But he's only got one season, and he's still got to win a job, and everything's accelerated. We've talked about that. But maybe we look back on that, this time next year, and depending on how Tennessee season goes, and specifically the rest of Nico Iamaliava's collegiate career goes, and maybe we could refer to it as the Joey Aguilar situation. Would be kind of interesting. But right now, obviously, it's all about Nico Iamaliava because he is the poster child. He's the name. And, of course, in regards to Tennessee, he was your starting quarterback. But Heupel says, well, let's start by calling it the Joey Aguilar situation. He goes on to say, hey, at the end of the day, it's just the landscape. You're not going to keep everybody. You have opportunities to put your roster together. I feel like we've got a team that's accountable, it's connected, works hard, competes hard, and we're built to win. Now we've got to go out there and earn it every single day. He goes on to say, and we have some new pieces that we have to get onboarded here in the course of May. Speaking of Joey Aguilar, that's the nature of college football. So we'll get ready, we'll keep competing, and we'll keep growing. End quote. I thought that was a really, really good response there from Josh Heupel. And again, this wasn't a gotcha question or anything. It was just phrased just like I would phrase it. You have the whole saga, the drama, the situation revolving Nico Iamaliava, and Josh Heupel looking ahead, looking forward, and looking out for the best interest of his now quarterback, his now team, saying, hey, let's call it the Joey Aguilar situation. I thought that was a really, really, really good response there from Josh Heupel on 3HL 104.5 The Zone in Nashville earlier this week, a part of the Big Orange Caravan stop across the state of Tennessee. Another point of conversation that Josh Heupel was asked a couple of different stops this week during the Big Orange Caravan tour, this was in Nashville, was about general manager. And you guys know my opinion. I mean, I'm not going to act like I know the exact ins and outs and work of every single college football program. I don't. And every single college football program is different. But if you want to bring it down to the simplest of terms, it's Oregon's doing it, Georgia's doing it, Ohio State is doing it, Alabama's doing it, Michigan is doing it. Some of the more successful programs, and I know I missed out on a lot, Texas, I believe, is doing it. They have general managers. So we're in a copycat league. Why are you not appointing someone to be a general manager? And so Josh Heupel was asked about it, and his response, it certainly didn't seem like Tennessee was on a path to having a general manager named in the near future. He says, quote, we've got a really good group of people that handle everything that goes into the recruitment process, our personnel side of it, and what we're doing on the high school side of it, and then the portal side of it. There's constant communication. There's projections of our roster, what are the needs, then our on-campus and true recruiting department as well. And so you tie all those things together. He goes on to say, there's a lot of things that you've got to navigate through in the selection of a player. That's high school, that's portal. You're looking at the physical traits of the playing style of the player. You're looking at the development plan, right? You're looking at what are the deficiencies, and you got to know where you can grow and how you can grow as a player. You're looking at the history, the injury history, the culture fit. So there are a lot of different things that go into it to try to find the right guy at the right time. So again, he didn't say yes, he didn't say no, but he was kind of confident in how he's going about assembling his roster. And there was a follow-up question asked, about if he has the final say with this roster, and he said that he's heavily involved. He said, quote, I'm certainly part of the decision process, yes. Being the head football coach at the University of Tennessee, you do have the final say. I don't know why I didn't just say that, but nonetheless, he definitely does have the final say. Danny White actually spoke with Brent Hubbs over at VolQuest.com earlier this week as well, and he too had an interesting take on the whole general manager discussion in college football. He said, quote, he and I, Josh Heupel, are talking about that. I think we have a great setup right now, and he's got a really strong recruiting staff. They work with our administration staff to manage the financial side, and when we get into this July 1st and moving forward, as we're funding the rev share directly, that'll be even more important. But it's different than the NFL. We don't have a draft. The recruiting process, the relationships are really important. These kids are coming to college. They need to be developed the right way. So I think the involvement of the coaches is different, but it's definitely an ongoing evaluation as we're entering this new territory, end quote. Yeah, you can say that, Delise. And so, Danny White's fully on board, and at least in his mindset, as he should be in preparing if this house settlement goes the way that he thinks it's going to go, to having to fund rev share and what that number is going to be and all that and more. So Danny White's side of it is saying, hey, we're constantly talking about it. We're evaluating that, giving praise to how Josh Heupel's doing it now, but certainly leaving the door open for the potential of a general manager type position at the University of Tennessee. There's a couple different players. There's a couple different guys that, go about doing that work that, maybe, Andrew Luck at Stanford or, whoever at Georgia or whoever at Ohio State do. Obviously, the work's getting done. But again, I'm in the mindset of, if they're doing it, why aren't you doing it? Somebody's got to be able to tell the head coach no at the end of the day. And kind of that's what a general manager is and what it's all about. So I thought those were kind of interesting. Josh Heupel certainly didn't say that he was against it, didn't say that he was open to it, kind of talked around it a little bit. Danny White, on the other hand, said, hey, we're talking about it. We're always evaluating, as you should. And I kind of got the impression that the door was open for a general manager. So it'd be interesting to kind of follow that dynamic. Again, this time next year, how many programs have general managers? Are you going to be in the extreme minority if you're not? If you are, then you're probably going to jump on board and go ahead and get that done. So a lot of good stuff there from Josh Heupel, Rick Barnes as well. We'll talk with Grant Ramey about some of his comments on the Big Orange Caravan. Kim Caldwell stops in Memphis, Nashville, and the Tri-Cities this week. I know it's always fun for the fans to get out there, the kids especially, to take pictures with Smokey and some of the Tennessee coaches and all that. That took part this week, and Josh Heupel, a couple of good quotes, specifically the one on, let's start calling it the Joey Aguilar situation. I like that an awful lot. And don't forget what he said about Joey Aguilar. I think this was in Memphis earlier this week. Quote, Aguilar has starts. He's played at a high level. He's got the ability to throw the ball vertically. He's accurate and on time in the intermediate passing game, and he's got the ability to use his feet and extend plays in the quarterback run game too. It's similar to the traits that we have in the guys that are on campus right now, end quote. What did Rick Barnes have to say about the new additions to his roster and about replacing Rod Clark? That's coming up next when we talk with Grant Ramey, VolQuest.com, right here on Locked On Vols. Get the supplies you need, the site that is made for skilled trades, and that is Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for the extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like the dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies in just a few clicks. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Again, that is promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. All that and more is at supplyhouse.com, supplyhouse.com. Hey, Grant Ramey, a lot of noise for Tennessee basketball this week. That scholarship count, I believe, is up to 12 now. 2 additions and 1 departure on the coaching staff. We'll get to that here in a moment. Let's start with Amari Abram. He came in, visited with Tennessee, I believe it was on Sunday. Shooting guard, Louisiana Tech, but experience in this league with Ole Miss. What is Tennessee getting in Amari Abram?
First of all, I've got to correct you. Busy month. Remember when April used to just be exit interviews and get ready for the offseason and the next season, and that was it. Your roster was already built from the previous season, basically. You replaced some seniors with some freshmen. You just went about your business, and now it is complete free agency and crazy.
And the football spring portal,
right?
Usually is nothing for Tennessee. That is not the case this year.
Right. Amari Abram, a good fit on both ends of the floor. Defensive-minded. Rick Barnes mentioned that Amari has that kind of mindset where he wants to guard the best offensive perimeter threat on the other team, which is very, shades of Jemiah Mashack in terms of mentality and mindset. Obviously, that's a tough comparison because of how elite Shaq was on the defensive end. At the same time, he shot 37% from 3, I think, at Louisiana Tech last year. I think he made 66 or 67, so that's a good number and a good percentage. So you needed that kind of offensive capability there at the 2 guard, that slot that Tennessee was trying to fill and needed to fill, and got in Amari Abram. He started as this is a 4-star top 100 recruit in 2022, I believe, and he started his collegiate career at Ole Miss. So he's got, and he played quite a bit at Ole Miss. He's got SEC experience. That's huge. He played a big role at Louisiana Tech last year. He averaged a ton of minutes, so he knows what it's like to be relied on. So it's a good mix of what you needed on both ends of the floor, what you needed in a veteran, what you needed experience-wise. Tennessee really needed to find somebody for that 2-guard spot, and Amari Abram's a good fit.
He played at Georgia Tech too, but only played like 10 games?
He did, but he only played 10 games. And I was Googling that at some point in the process when he committed, and I can't remember what happened. I haven't really found it. If it's an injury, I would assume it's some kind of injury situation. Yeah. But started at Ole Miss, went to Georgia Tech, played 10 games, went to Louisiana Tech, and starred there last year.
And that is the norm now. Like that, right. It seems so weird.
You don't even bat an eye at that at this point. Like only 3 schools, okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, Liam Doyle, Andrew Fisher, same way here at Tennessee baseball. Tennessee also got the 5th signee to the signing class yesterday, and they had to go overseas to do it.
Clarence Msamba mentality. I don't know if that's been a hashtag. I like it. Somebody needs to drop that. A very interesting prospect. Basically a freshman eligibility wise. I believe. He might have been a 3-star at one point because he spent a year in the States playing in Florida, in Gainesville, actually. kind of the 6'5" wing kind of body that you would expect, guard body from a Rick Barnes recruit, athletic, somebody that's, he played at AS Monaco, which is a huge club, huge professional basketball club, but he played most of his time on kind of the U21 team, kind of like the B team, the developmental team, I guess, at AS Monaco. So there's a lot of averages and percentages in terms of what he did the last, 24, 25 athletic year, whatever you want to call it, season, I guess. But a lot of that was playing for the U21. So he got a lot of experience there, and I'm sure there's growth there in that professional kind of environment. But he's coming here, I think, as more of a developmental piece, a depth piece, and kind of see where it goes from there.
So Rick Barnes said on one of the stops of the Big Orange Caravan, I believe it was in Nashville the other night, that they're going to leave one spot open, but he believes they're going to get to 15. So
Right.
Is this roster set for now?
It feels like it's set for now. Right now, the rosters are still at 13 scholarships. We'll see when 15 comes into play. I don't know what the timing is. It feels like it's not an if question, but a when question. So At some point, that's going to happen. But I also believe that when they do go to 15 scholarships, it's going to be where you can divide a scholarship up, kind of like the baseball rule where, somebody gets half a scholarship or whatever. I'm not an expert in that, that field because I've never had to worry about it. But that's going to be some kind of change for basketball and similar sports moving forward. So I don't know when it happens. I also think it's going to be a little bit kind of watered down because there aren't going to be walk-ons anymore. You're going to start giving scholarships to those guys at the end of the bench, those scout team guys. So I don't think it's going to be – I would be surprised if it's 15 like rotation players that rosters get built out as. We'll see if it goes that direction. But right now it's going to go to that at some point. Right now it's at 13, and it does feel like that scholarship spot is held open. When Rick talked about it, he said you kind of want to leave a spot open because he referenced Santiago Vescovi a few years ago joining mid-year. Like you want to have those spots available. There's a tall tale a few years ago where Tennessee wanted Oscar Shibwe when he was leaving West Virginia, and they couldn't because he didn't have a scholarship spot.
Yeah.
So that's a long time ago, but still I guess they're trying to factor that in. Obviously, last year they had 2 open spots, and they kind of got burned because of injuries and Cam Carr leaving, and they ended up pretty thin. But I guess you'd rather have that spot than not have it.
Yep, Oscar Shibwe would have been a really nice midseason pickup for sure.
Very good.
All right, Rod Clark heading to Indiana. Looks like a lateral move, and there's a lot of things behind the scenes that obviously we don't know about. But from a fan's perspective, like why leave Tennessee to go and be an assistant coach at another program?
Money's part of it. Big raise offered. I don't know about a job title or anything like that. But it's all, it's a chance to make more money. It's a basketball school. I know they've been down recently, but they've got as good a tradition as anybody in college basketball in terms of what Indiana means to the sport. So that chance to kind of reset your clock a little bit. There's also, obviously people are wondering when Rick Barnes is going to retire, how many more years does he have left? Like you kind of get out from underneath that talk and you kind of get to pick your job as opposed to maybe Rick retires whenever and you're kind of stuck just picking from whatever's left, whatever jobs are open, whatever jobs have interest in you. So he goes to work for a younger first year Indiana coach in Darian DeVries from West Virginia and Drake before that, longtime Creighton assistant. He wins. He's won everywhere he's been. So you would expect that's going to continue. Obviously Indiana's kind of struggled to find that kind of winner. But you got to get on the ground floor with him there at Indiana, a basketball school. You get more money to do it, and you kind of get to reset your clock a little bit.
Rick Barnes felt pretty confident that he's already got his spot filled. He wouldn't give any names there, but any idea what he was talking about?
No, I don't, and I wish I did know a name. He has been very quick in the past to replace these guys. I remember when I can't remember who it was left, Chris Ogden, maybe like year 1, and he had that spot filled basically before Ogden was out the door. I think Michael Schwartz replaced him back in the day. Obviously, he had to move a couple times in 2021 because Des Oliver and Kim English both left for head coaching positions. That's when he hired Justin Gainey, and that's when he hired Rod Clark. So I assume he's got guys in mind. If he doesn't have that one guy in mind, I don't have any names. I wish I did. Obviously, people are going to speculate that Rodney Terry, a longtime Rick Barnes assistant, guy that got let go at Texas about a month ago or so when Texas got eliminated when their season was over. So we'll see if they go down that road, but I don't have any names, but it sounds like what Rick was saying in Nashville at the Big Orange Caravan. He said, we basically got that spot filled, got it covered, whatever. We'll see what comes from it.
Call your shot, man. How many points per game Nate Ament next year?
Oh, gosh. See, I am so jaded from freshmen because it was kind of a struggle for a Julian Phillips, and it was kind of a struggle for Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson. Obviously, none of those guys were billed to be what Nate Ament is billed to be, because they're talking about NBA personnel think he has potential to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Like, that's the kind of talent he could have, and he's going to have that kind of opportunity to put up those kind of crazy numbers. So I saw Dalton Connect walk in here and be a generational talent. We saw Chaz Lanier come here and score it at a high level. So I think if they're the focal point of the offense, if Nate is like those guys were, he could be a guy that's, 17, 18 points a game and be a star here. That's what Tennessee brought him here to do, and they're going to obviously be hoping that he does just that.
Grant Ramey covers Tennessee basketball, does everything for us for football as well, and covering a little baseball this spring, and looking forward to seeing you back at the ballpark this weekend.
I'm looking forward to seeing you. How's life? You good? You caught up on your sleep?
Yeah, sleep, no. I know I sound really, really crappy. I feel great, allergies and all that. It's a exciting first week for my child, but no, it's fantastic, man. It's going to be weird being back at the ballpark this weekend for sure.
But there's no sleep, but you wouldn't want to go to sleep. It's too much fun when you're awake, right?
Too much fun. Yeah, I'll remind you of that 2:30 this morning when I'm on my second change, when I'm trying to change his diaper and he's peeing all over me.
Hey, you know what? The best part? They're like little heating pads, though. They lay on top of you. Don't even need a blanket. That's the best part.
They are. That's true. Grant, as always, man, thanks so much.
See you, bud.
Couple minutes left here on your Friday Locked On Vols. Again, appreciate you for being here. Appreciate Grant Ramey for stopping by the show and giving us some detail on the 2 new additions for Tennessee basketball this week and kind of what direction Tennessee might go in terms of replacing Rod Clark as an assistant coach. So we'll be paying close attention to that over the next couple of days. Heading into the weekend, I wanted to talk a little Tennessee baseball. Tennessee baseball, reigning national champions, of course, ranked number 1 for a couple of weeks this year. Losers of 3 of their past 4 series. Okay, so that's not great, but again, I mean, this team is still very, very good. No reason to panic. 36-9 the overall record, 13-8 the SEC record. You're welcoming in a team in Auburn that is overachieving this year. They're ranked number 10. They're ranked higher than, depending on what poll you look, they're ranked higher than the University of Tennessee. The poll that I follow at D1 Baseball, Tennessee's number 12. Auburn's number 10. Auburn was preseason picked number 12 in the SEC. So they are very much overachieving. But, I mean, they got a really good coach, and they got a program that knows how to win and all that. They've cycled up a couple of years as well. So it should be a really, really good weekend for the Vols, or for the Vols and the Tigers in terms of playing some good baseball out there at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. But you're to the point this season where, again, you've lost 3 of the last 4 series. You're in the midst of your final homestand. Okay, it's a 9-game homestand. Started on Tuesday with, I love how they went about their business and taking down Northern Kentucky, which was a Knoxville regional team a season ago, and kind of on the mound there towards the end, they started pitching to win instead of just the typical one guy every single inning. They let Michael Sharman go for 4 innings and a third and 86 pitches. He looked really well, and they went to Dylan Lloyd. They went to Nate Snead to get the save. So they treated that game like a regional game there towards the end, which I thought was great. We saw Gavin Keelan at shortstop and Dean Curley at second base, and according to Tony Vitello, that's probably the plan for the rest of the way. And he was quoted after the game and saying, I don't have it in front of me. Crap. Sorry. Essentially, maybe it's my fault for getting to this point so late in the season. They looked at it in preseason. Then they got off to such a great start, and if it's not broke, why fix it? And then Gavin Keelan had the injury, and so it took him a little while to get here. But you're to the point now in May to where you got to pick your 9, you got to pick your 8, and you got to go. And typically at this point in the season, Tennessee's already kind of finalized who their dudes are after some experimenting throughout the year, and they're going. It's been a little late this year, and I think a lot of that has to do with Gavin Keelan's hamstring injury. But here you are, calendars flipped to May. It's going to be Gavin Keelan at short. It's going to be Dean Curley at second. It's going to be Dalton Bargo at third, and maybe Manny Marin at third and Dalton Bargo in left, so on and so forth. And that's kind of that's what you're looking like whenever you're going. And so I like the way they played Tuesday. Got a win against a team that's pretty solid. Again, a regional team a season ago. And now you go into this Auburn series where if you look at the latest field of 64 projections, and you're going to start seeing those updated constantly a couple times a week from now until the end of the season, over there at D1 Baseball from their field of 64 projections, Tennessee was currently the 6th overall seed. Really, really good. Now, when you think about what's that mean for supers, if you were to play in a super, if you were a top 8 seed and you make it to a super, you get to host. Top 16 overall seeds get to host a regional. Top 8 seeds get to host a super regional if you advance that far. So you're kind of on that brink a little bit, 6, 7, 8. And so you need to continue to try to win. I mean, Tennessee obviously just needs to focus at hand. They're playing this Auburn team, and of course Vanderbilt next weekend. And then you got a midweek, and then you're on the road at Arkansas to end the regular season before heading to Hoover for the SEC tournament. So focus on what's at hand. But now you're kind of seeing the big picture a little bit. Tennessee right now, 4th in the SEC standings, number 6 overall in the D1 baseball field of 64 projections, all in good spots. But you really need to take care of business at home. You need a win at home against a team in Auburn that, for as much as it's overachieved this year, and for as well as they played, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Auburn, but you look at this Auburn team on paper, and there's only one player that does anything elite, and that's the Friday night starter that we're going to see tonight square off against Liam Doyle. It should be a great pitching matchup, and that is Dutton is his last name. Let's see here. Samuel Dutton. Yeah, Samuel Dutton. Came over from LSU last year. Now he's their Friday night guy, looking really, really good. But everything else, Auburn's pretty average. Offensively, Auburn's even like middle of the pack towards the back of the pack in most of the offensive categories. So they've done well. They do everything well enough. They've arguably had the toughest schedule in all of baseball, depending on where you look in terms of the strength of schedule. They're either 1 or 2. They've been swept on the road at Georgia and Texas. Those are 2 really good teams. But where I think Tennessee can really take advantage this weekend is protecting your home turf, literally. The turf field. Protect your home turf at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Auburn is 4-8 in true road games this year. 4-8 in true road games this year, being swept at Georgia, being swept at Texas. Do what you need to do. Win at home. Take care of Auburn this weekend. Take care of your in-state foe Vanderbilt rivals next weekend. And sit yourself in some good position there heading to Fayetteville to end the regular season and then on to the next season, which is the postseason. So it's, the things are still trying to be finalized, still trying to figure some things out. A.J. Russell's going to start for Tennessee on Sunday again. That's good as he continues to stretch out a little bit. Tennessee's got some questions, but you're to the point in the season now to where it is go time. I mean, it is go time. Good teams rise to the occasion right now. And hopefully we see that switch flipped a little bit moving on throughout this weekend. I think we saw the beginnings of that on Tuesday. I really like Dean Curley. I know it's a small sample size, but I like Dean Curley at second base. And it's interesting because in conversations with people around the program leading up to the season, when Dean Curley and both Gavin Keelan were flip-flopping between second and shortstop, and, that was your middle infield. It was just the question of who was going to play where. Everybody kind of told me, well, Dean is so much more comfortable at short. His footwork around the second base bag from the left side or from the right side is a little iffy. And so now, I think Dean Curley, in the small sample size that he's played second base this year, has looked really solid. I think he's looked really, really good. So interested to see how that looks like this weekend as well. So big weekend at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Tennessee, again, needs to kind of turn the tide a little bit, needs to get settled in and start playing some good baseball. Losers of 3 of their past 4 series. Can that change? Can Liam Doyle and Marcus Phillips continue pitching at an elite level? Can Tennessee's pitching on Sunday figure it out? And can Tennessee's offense have some timely hitting throughout the weekend? They're good enough. Obviously, the talent's there. We will see. Big weekend coming up from Lindsey Nelson Stadium, Tennessee and Auburn. All right, that is going to do it here for your Friday Locked On Vols. Good show. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We'll be back on Monday morning. Get you set. Whatever happened over the weekend, we'll get you caught up and all that and more right here on Locked On Vols. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Tell your friends about Locked On Vols. This is Locked On Vols.